Has AI read your book?
So this is an important question because we had an interesting experience with a client about a week ago or so. We were building out a sales page for this client. She's a really good author. Her work is super amazing and very funny, very entertaining. We read
Yeah.
all of our client books, and I had actually read her book in preparation for this landing page that we were building for her. And as we were building out this wireframe for this landing page, we had a certain way that we do landing pages for book launches. And we were going through our usual setup for that and looking at her content, her testimonials and things like that, and just kind of outlining it. And then I decided, well, let me put this into ChatGPT and see what, maybe give us some other suggestions, see what we can come up with. So I put our framework into there, and kind of at the last minute, I was like, well, I'm going to need some content. And normally what we would do before we would do an entire like content right or getting content from a client, we would go through this entire strategy process, and we would pull a lot of data out to get that client's voice. And that's the thing with AI is you don't just go and upload two or three different things and think,
Right.
got my voice, or you write two paragraphs of instructions and say, well, here it is, I got it. To really get your voice out of any AI, you've got to put in a lot of data. It needs to really truly understand who you are. And what better way to get that than from a book?
Yeah.
So if your client has a book, in our case our client had a book, what we did was I put in my prompt, and I put in our wireframe process, and I added that PDF of the book that I had been reading,
and the brand personality documents that we had created with her.
Yeah. So it had a general idea of what we wanted, and this was just the wireframe. We weren't even trying to be the copywriters at this point, because she's an author. She wanted to write her own copy for the page. So I was just trying to get some copy in there so that we had a framework to show her before we went into the full design, and then she could tweak copy from there. And I did that, and when I pushed the button on ChatGPT and it came back with this beautifully written landing page, I was just like, okay, all right, this is fantastic. This is what we want, because it's her voice. And she's coming at this, so we hadn't met with her yet.
Yeah.
She's coming at this with this idea of, we're going to have some generic copy in there. Because that's what we told her. We're like, okay, if you're writing the copy, we'll just put some generic placeholders in there. It'll give you an idea of what you'll need to write when you get to those sections. But because at the last minute, I decided to test ChatGPT with her book, and it spit out the copy exactly in her voice. When we presented the wireframe to her, she was absolutely blown away by the copy. She's like, oh my gosh, that sounds like me. And I said, well, that's because we put your book into the process.
Yeah.
And now it has your voice, and it knows all of the content that was in the book. So all of the bullet points that it spit out were perfectly in alignment with content that was in the book, etc. And it was an amazing moment. And what it did was, it not only did it save me time and having to write all that out like I usually would, but it also saved the client. And now she was planning to spend several hours going writing all this content for her page. And she's like, oh my gosh, she's like, I want to change this and I want to change that, but the rest of this is just, it's really good. And I'm like, well, you wrote it. It is your content. It's just your book, put through it.
Yeah, it's just reorganized.
Yeah. So if you are struggling to train an AI, and you have a book, or even if you have a lot of content in specific blog posts or anything that you have written, add that in there, feed that into it, give it as much as possible. And we are currently working on a system or process to help people identify what content and also in what order to feed that into an AI, so that AI can speak in your brand voice and speak to your customer in a way that really connects.
And I think what's so funny is that, we have other clients who are authors. A lot of our clients are authors, but they always feel like, oh, writing web content is going to be so much more difficult than their book content. Now, to be clear, like, we can absolutely help our clients with writing their content, but for the ones who said no, they specifically want to do it themselves, they've had a little apprehension around, well, writing this way is different, and we guide them with all the principles. But, now having that opportunity to feed that into AI and help them
Mhm.
hear their own voice, I think has been so cool. So even if you are not a person who has a lot of written content, maybe you're like me and you're like, I'm video or podcast all day long, guess what? You can just get
Mhm.
transcriptions of your podcasts or of your videos and use that as a way to fuel the AI tools that you're using to hear your voice and to hear the way that you're talking and understand how you would do that in a written format. So it's something that can really work for anybody, regardless of whether you're a prolific writer like Gretchen or you are a prolific video creator or a talker like myself. That is going to really be the thing that I would use, would be going through and saying, okay, let me pull that from podcasts, let me pull that from video trainings I've done or
Mhm.
workshops. And then that is still getting that content fed to the AI engines to help give you, again, that foundation. You still need to come at this with strategy, like knowing the right things in the right order and how to make that flow for a customer journey. You still need to come at this with a refining eye, but oh my goodness, how much further you can get when you know the right frameworks and the right order, like
Mhm.
you said, to feed things to AI. It can
Yeah.
really create a big lift for you and for your brand and your business when you do that.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the number one thing that people are struggling with right in this moment with AI being as new as it is what do I put into it? There's a lot of YouTube videos out there, or a YouTube video, but there's a lot of them out there that are just like, okay, feed these, 2 paragraphs worth of instructions into ChatGPT and watch the magic happen. And that's not how it happens.
No,
We've
no.
been working with AI for, well, pretty much since ChatGPT, popped its head into the interwebs. So I've been working with it nonstop since then, and discovered that the more that we know about the client, the more content that we can feed in about their business, about their brand, about their personality, that there's a specific set of things that when we feed that in, we get actual results that make sense. They're not perfect. They're not copy paste right into a blog post or anything like that. They still need the human touch. They need the human
Yes.
eyeballs to refine and make sure, because ChatGPT and all these tools, they can get things wrong. They can have wrong facts. They can say things in weird ways sometimes. But so you still need that human element. But it does save a lot of time. And when you have the right content and the right strategy, and you feed that strategy in, boom, then you get the results that are way better than those 2 paragraphs of custom instructions.
So if you're interested in figuring out how do you develop your brand voice from a human perspective, but then also how can you dial it in and let something like AI lay a foundation for you that you can then come back and refine and grow on. If that sounds interesting to you, if you're ready to look at different ways that you can grow your brand and refine your brand voice, comment down below, let us know. We're going to keep you
Subscribe.
posted. Yes, subscribe. We're going to keep you posted on what we're creating. It'll
Hmm.
be launching pretty soon. And we're excited to really have a step-by-step formula written out for clients that starts first with the human to human and how you want to be seen and
Hmm.
understood and how your audience wants to receive from you. So starting first from that component and then looking at how can we help fast track certain pieces with the support of technology all along while you get to lead the way and you get to refine it as you go. So if that sounds interesting to you, subscribe, comment down below. We'll keep you posted and we can't wait to connect next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.